Today is March the 17th, and today we'll hear Jesus and Pilate's view on the nature of authority. What is that nature? Let's find out together as we study John 19. So yesterday we saw that Pilate had declared Jesus innocent, but to appease the Jews, he had him flogged. Then he brought him out to show him to the crowd. We pick it up again in John chapter 19, verse 4. Pilate went outside again and said to the people, "I'm going to bring him out to you now, but understand clearly that I find him not guilty." When Jesus came out, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, Pilate said, "Look, here is the man." Now this was apparently an attempt on Pilate's part to invoke sympathy from the crowd. Jesus was now bloodied and beaten. He showed him to the crowd, hoping that that would satisfy their bloodlust. In verse 6, when they saw him, the leading priest and the temple guards began shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate said, "Take him yourselves, crucify him. I find him not guilty." Pilate said, "You want to crucify him? You do it." Jewish leaders know that they can't do that. First of all, crucifixion was Roman. It was not Jewish. Jewish law prohibited from that type of death. The Jewish leaders replied, "By our law, he ought to die because he called himself the Son of God." Now this is interesting because Pilate's reaction in verse 8, when Pilate heard this, he was more frightened than ever. Now that is totally different from what I would have expected. I would have expected when the Jews said, "This man presents himself as King of the Jews," Pilate would have said, "Oh, we can't have that," and would have had him crucified. Instead, Pilate said, "He's just a crazy man." But when the Jews say, "He calls himself God's Son," Pilate becomes frightened. Now, remember that Pilate's wife has approached him, said, "I had a dream about him." Dreams are very important at this time. They reveal God's voice. Basically, Pilate's wife has said to him, "God has spoken to me. God has told me that this man is innocent." Now the Jews say our real accusation is that he makes himself to be a son of God. Now Pilate's frightened because Pilate follows a religion in which the gods from time to time take human form and walk among men. Pilate becomes frightened because he actually believes this accusation. He believes that it could be true. And so he took Jesus back into the headquarters again. And he begins a new line of interrogation. In verse 9, he says to Jesus, "Where are you from?" Now this is after he knows that Jesus came from Galilee. That's not his question. His question is, are you truly divine? Are you a God walking among us? Jesus gave no answer. Incredible. This is the real question. Now, when Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the King of the Jews?" Jesus said, "You said it. Yes, I am." Now Pilate says, "Are you the Son of God?" Jesus refuses to answer. If Pilate believes this and releases Jesus, he will not be crucified. I think Jesus knows that. So he refuses to answer Pilate. Verse 10, "Why don't you talk to me?" Pilate demanded. "Don't you realize I have the power to release you or crucify you?" Now Jesus answers. Jesus said, "You'd have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above. So the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin." Jesus says two things. The true nature of authority is that it stems from God. Pilate said, "I have authority given to me by the Roman government to release you or crucify you." Jesus says, that's not true authority. True authority comes from God. The only authority that you have is what God gives you. God has you on a leash. He'll not let you do something that he would not allow. Now, because of that, Pilate, understand that it's those who handed me over to you who have the greater sin. You're on my Father's leash. You're doing what he allows you to do. Pilate tried to release him. They demanded his crucifixion. That's where it leads. The exchange between Jesus and Pilate has to do with true authority. Where does authority come from? Pilate had one understanding, and it was wrong. The question for you today: who is truly in control of your life? There are three possible answers. You're in control. You know, it took me a while to figure that out. I thought I was in control. I thought I was master of my own destiny. I thought I was captain of my own ship. But enough things happened to me in life that I realized that doesn't always take place. Sometimes life is simply in control. A second answer is that others are in control. I am being controlled by the man. I'm being controlled by someone else. Someone else gets to tell me what I have to do and what I can't do. Ultimately, even that isn't true. What Jesus says to us is that we would have no authority except the authority that comes from above. God is ultimately in control. The question is, what do we do with that control? Do we accept it, follow it, or do we kick against it, push back? Today, I just want to encourage you, accept the fact that God is in control. I encourage you to like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you use to listen to this devotional. If you have questions, send them to us at questions@becomehope.com. Tomorrow, we'll hear the sentencing of Jesus.